I'm on kind of a boil all. Usually have a bigger thing than any of you. Well, what can I say? Algorithm loves me. True. It's just something I've been trying to work on. Like, you know. Always good to start early before you create bad habits. And the streak is broken. You jinxed it. You jinxed it. Still putting myself on the table. Nice. There we go. That's more like it. Alright. You guys ready? Let's get into it.
For a lot of things, vague, often contrived prophecies, gallant, amazingly gifted. Hates of Furies. Fantasy stories are known for a lot of things. Vague, often contrived
I will be in and out of chat. Yeah, no worries. Sounds good, book buyer.
With no parents because they're inconvenient for the plot, and lots of mythical races. But arguably, the thing that really sets fantasy apart from other genres is magic. Its role in the world you create, how characters can use it to solve problems, and the problems it can create. Oftentimes, a really unique magic system is what sets one fantasy story apart from another. In writing your fantasy novel, something to think about is how hard or soft you want your magic system to be. Now, we have to thank our Lord and Savior of hard magic systems, Brandon Sanderson, for popularizing the terms hard and soft, but what do they mean? This video will be delving deep into hard magic systems, so I'll only be lightly touching on what a soft magic system is. But broadly speaking, soft magic systems often have a vague, undefined, or mysterious set of rules and limitations to being used. If you like fantasy, then you've definitely seen this in Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings. Everyone knows Gandalf can do wizardy things with his pointy hat and his staff, but when it comes down to the specific limitations of what he can and can't do, Gandalf tends to skimp on the details. A hard magic system, on the other hand, has clearly defined rules, consequences, and limitations that govern what one can or cannot do with magic. That your hero can use telekinesis, but they can only use it on things they could realistically lift themselves, and the things have to be within 10 meters of them. A great example of a hard magic system is Fullmetal.
One of the main things, so let's see, like, let's do aspects of our magic system. Components of catalyst. And the catalyst that allows magic to exist is consciousness. Using imagination to create the impression of what you wish to accomplish, invoking that image through sound to enact a reaction in the real world, and then motion in order to control and manipulate the essence of the magic you invoke. Understanding of the physical world's characteristics. Physics, for example. Basically increases accuracy of effect. So the one main thing that we like to say is, like, for instance, if you're casting, I guess we have the spell components. Because spell components are usually, like, I've never found in a story spell components are like they feel like they're necessary. Like, they're not, they're usually a part of the magic itself, But in this case, they're just a means of facilitating an effect. So, for instance, if you want to create a fireball for a fire spell, you could invoke the magic to create a giant fireball, which would cost a lot of mana. Or you could take a flammable substance, take a tiny little spark, ignite the spark, light the entirety of the combustible material, and then control the flames that are created out of it. So you're not actually creating the fire, you're facilitating the ignition of the fire that allows a combustible object or material to spread that fire, and then you control the fire that's created from it. So it's more of an element of control than it is an element of creation. And different spell components will have different, uses. What can you do with this object in the real world, and how does that, help with your spell? If you have, like, for instance, like, I don't know, like, metal wire or something like that, and you were, like, a lightning mage, and you could, like, set a trap by, like, attaching it to, like, I don't know, something, somebody steps on it, you can ignite it with lightning, and it just sends electricity through it. So it's like you don't have to create, or you don't have to facilitate the electricity shooting through the medium of air, right? Which would cost more mana, essentially. Because the more that you're manipulating reality, the more mana it costs.
Alchemist Brotherhood, which, if you haven't seen, has amazing characters, world building, and story structure. If you enjoyed Avatar: The Last Airbender, there's a good chance you might enjoy that.
13 chapters now, almost 45k. Nice, book buyer, that's dope.
Which, trust me, you'll get to know very well as you watch the series, because they repeat it at the start of every single episode.
It is impossible to create something out of nothing. If one wishes to obtain something, something of equal value must be given. This is the law of equivalent exchange.
For example, Alphonse transforms all of the pieces of a broken radio into a working radio. All of the pieces are there, they just have to be put in the right place and order in order to work again. Alchemy never ever breaks that first rule. The viewer knows pretty well what the characters can or can't do in any given circumstance. Now, your story can have a magic system that is anywhere on the spectrum from soft to hard, and both styles have their merits and limitations for different kinds of stories. But let's talk about hard magic today. Sanderson wrote essays on what he calls his 3 rules of magic, but the most important one for hard magic systems is the first. An author's ability to solve conflict with magic is directly proportional to how well the reader understands said magic.
Okay. Solve conflict with magic is directly proportional to how well reader understands said magic. I guess one of the main attributes of, like, magic is things that can't be manipulated, such as turning, like, a physical object into another physical object. Like, you would die from the strain before anything happened, because you would have to literally rearrange every single molecule in its structure in order to change it. So, like, if you knew I need printer ink but gotta wait 2 weeks till my birthday, damn. Printer ink's fucking expensive. That's why the impression paper I find is, like, way better. It doesn't require ink, it's just, like, imprinted. Like, basically scratch off. Like the way, do receipts and stuff like that nowadays. Fragile, but a lot cheaper. Illusion magic. Because It is, and I have at least 200 pages to print. Damn. How do you say it? It's like, if you knew the molecular structure, laser printers are great, aside from the cost of the special paper. Yeah. If you knew how to molecularly change something, you could technically change it. Like, if you had all the materials there, right? I like my printer for now. If I ever get serious, I will try a fancier printer that will work better. Yeah. I guess there's kind of really no point, because there's no one in the book who literally understands molecular matter. They just understand effects. Like, the elements themselves, right? But for buffs and stuff like that, you know, it's more of a... Like, for instance, like haste. Like, a haste spell is dependent on the type of person as well. So, like, your haste spell could, let's say, increase the electrical energy flow to your muscles, allowing your muscles to move faster. It could reduce the weight of your body, allowing your muscles to move faster. It could... manipulate the air around you. Night, Sir Ito! I did not get to tell you some info last time. Did you ask for some info last time? I am not sure, Rick. Also, what are we talking about? We are talking about hard magic systems and the magic system in my book. And we're basically outlining why there are certain limitations. And the limitations come down to the fact that you need to understand how the physical world works, and no one understands quantum mechanics, so no one can do illusion magic, and no one understands, mine is complex as fuck. Ours is just as complex as the understanding of the world you want to go to. If you want to literally, I believe, and yes, that, if you want to, like, if you want to turn, for instance, lead into gold, you would have to understand the molecular structure of both elements and how to move those molecules around and break the bonds and create new bonds in order to create a different material. So you would need all of the elements present. So if you could, like, draw oxygen or something or material out of the air or out of another metal to mix a bunch of metals together to create a new type of metal, if you understood the physical features of it. And same with how if you could understand the quantum mechanics and, like, how light works and, like, the, like, cancellation effect, essentially, you could figure out how illusion magic works. But with Husai, he knows that illusion magic is real because everyone sees him as an octopi even though he's human. So he spends, like, half of his life trying to find out how to do illusion magic because he knows it exists and no one's been able to crack it. But he's like, well, I have insight into it because it's literally happening to me even though I can't tell people about it. And then for, like... So most magic is done through the effect of an element because it's extremely easy to do. The most powerful magics can rewrite and reshape reality, but they take, like, a technological element of it that facilitates mana in order for it to be used. I use science and magic and real-world things for Sod magic system, hence magic system. Like in that one anime where the guy who reincarnated made some crystals appear from the stone tablet, even though there is no crystal present. Just by, like, rewriting the structure of physical materials, right?
Writing is all about how you sit up
And yes, your explanation was kind of like mine as well. Yeah. And it's like, basically you have to have an image in your head, and the closer that image is to how it reflects in reality, the more powerful the effect will be and the less mana it will take. And then you use sound to invoke it into reality through consciousness, and then you use motion to move it. But every single character relies on different things. There's like no one way to use magic. Some people think, oh, well, you know, the imagination is the most important part. Some people are like, oh, the movement's the most important part. Oh, the words are the most important part. But really, it's like, what is the what is closest to you as a person? So every single person casts magic differently, but it's basically a song and dance, you know? Some people have sayings that they say. Some people just like mumble words. Some people just make sounds. Imagination, divine intervention, etc. Yeah, because it's like, the idea is when the monarch pulled the moon out of the sky, and the moon is the fetus version of a celestial being, it's pure consciousness, like, spread across the planet. And you can tap into that consciousness and cause it to affect the world. But it eats away at your consciousness. And that's what your mana is. And if it eats through your mana, it will start to eat at your physical body. And it's like, you could literally, like, cast a spell that killed you, but it would be like the idea of, like, if you set yourself on fire, and then if you just had the single thought of, I don't want to be on fire anymore, and you just weren't on fire anymore. So it's like, you would have to maintain the focus of the magic while you're dying. Without ever having the thought of, I want this to stop. Which is, like, complete mental fortitude, right? For instance, my goddess Arya Ichikawa has bestowed to people her power or blessing of those who pray to her, give her gifts. Ah, nice. Your reason as well. Yep.
Problems and conflicts and how they are resolved in a way that makes for a good story. If we have no idea what Gandalf can do and he just solved every problem the Fellowship has with random, unseen before magical spells and moments of tension, then it wouldn't be a satisfying resolution. It feels like the author is just writing, "A wizard did it!" and expecting you to be happy with a clear Deus Ex Machina. Sticking to Sanderson's first rule in hard magic systems means the reader understands what characters can or can't do, their capabilities, and are always thinking about how magic can be used to solve problems within those strict rules that you laid out. Magic becomes a defined tool that doesn't feel cheap to use because it's not screaming, "A wizard did it!" at the reader. It's the character's experience, intelligence, and ingenuity that allows them to solve problems.
Exactly.
Readers can feel cheated by soft magic because it's much harder to predict where it can be used or what it can do, but hard magic allows the reader to feel much more a part of the story, aligning themselves with the characters as they earnestly predict how magic could be used.
And the fact that, like, the whole thing is in first person to Husai, so you see the inner ways that Husai casts magic, and, like, how he does his whole song and dance with it. And then you look at, like, how other characters do it, and you're like, okay, well, this is how he does it, so that's probably how they're doing it. And then the idea that, you know, there's no one solid way to do magic. Everyone works within the boundaries of what they're good at. If you're not good at imagining stuff, you're not going to focus on the creation aspect. You're going to create on the manipulation aspect, right? We Are Number One, classic song. Saddening that he has passed, though. Yes, it was a bit ago. Also, different styles, different outcomes, etc. Yep, exactly.
In any given circumstance.
And it's like, it's all presented, and then there's, like, the overdrive ability, which is titling. Which isn't, like, I don't exactly know how that's going to be worked in. Maybe it's going to be worked in the third chapter. That's the best place I can think of it, because it's not really told what a title is. The characters just title and use, like, super insanely fucking ridiculous overpowered abilities. But it's like, the idea of the title is the closer connection you have to Gaia, we are chugging right along. True book buyer, absolutely true. Welcome, welcome, GPB. Always glad to have you here, good sir. But if you're just going along with, how would you say this? Like, how the characters are thinking, and Raymondo, welcome, welcome. How's it going, good sir? We're discussing hard and soft magic and how my magic system is. Ooh, progressing the convo. Yes, like a train. Chug chug. Choo choo. Let's go. But the way that how do you say this again? Like the way that magic is structured through consciousness to allow people to do certain things past like the physical barrier. So it's like Gaia can't influence beings beyond an instinctual level, because it's kind of like the idea of Inception, where things have to believe that the idea is grounded within themselves and they can't think of it as an external thing. So if they believe that the idea or the compulsion... I was just going to say, Callie's probably here. He's probably just lurking. Hi, Callie! Gaia's consciousness is so powerful that if she influences someone and someone realizes that they're influencing it, it will obliterate their consciousness. Found a website? You got ideas, Callie? Oh, he's got lots of ideas. He's got the most fantastic world I have ever seen. It is so fucking awesome. What is that? Yes, we're all waiting in anticipation, Callie! Tell us what site it is. So you have to have some sort of near-death experience or, like, be extremely, like, fortituded in your consciousness in order to be able to title. Because it's Gaia giving you her power for a short period of time. And that's why you could basically, like, rewrite reality in any way, shape, or form. Is it bad if I say mine's better or not, since all worlds are different? You can say that yours is better, Rick. You're allowed to say that, because that's your opinion. And, you know, it's what you're focusing on. I like Callie's because it's dark, grim, fucked up, and almost every aspect that I've seen about the world, besides, like, the physics of gravity, don't work in the way you would expect them to. And it's, like, full undead and fucking deceit, dismay, control, and torture, and just fucking epicness. And mine is well written. True book. Well presented. Well structured. Not the right audience here. Honestly, I would want to know who would win in a fight if all of our stuff is fully made. I mean, Callie's world is very evocative. Doesn't make it my cup of tea, but it's powerful. It's, well, I'm just saying, it's my absolute cup of tea. Like, it's like Nightmare Before Christmas on crack. I fucking love it. It just reminds me so much of Jack Skellington and frickin' Sally. Meaning characters, monsters, etc. Yeah. Exactly. Who has the most overpowered character, right? Mine would die before the first round. They are human. But they could be extremely intelligent, book buyer, and maybe they could ally themselves with, like, one of my characters or one of Sean's characters, like Jane, and then Jane just kind of, like, summons Goku out of nowhere, and then Goku just kind of kills everyone. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not sure if this is the best idea yet, but I'm using Fourth Wall right now, and I'm thinking I'll use it to sell a bundle of my 2 ebooks at a lower price. I don't know. Is it a good or bad idea? I'm nervous about the answer. Jack and Sally would walk in there absolutely happy about everything they saw, calling the instruments lucky. True, Sean. True. One is PTSD and the other is anxiety riddled. I also have humans, demi-humans, beastkin, Morthosians. Yep, always good to have a lot of different things. And my main character as well is human. But he's, like, genetically engineered human.
In Avatar: The Last Airbender, and forgive me for using it as the benchmark for all things good and holy in writing, but it is, the bending magic system is relatively hard. It's
A
not all that
male character,
mysterious, with the
Wei
exception
might
of an
survive
occasional
around.
new alternate bending style thrown in, and the rules are relatively clear.
Is what I'm
it's
doing
established
bad.
numerous times throughout the
Callie, I don't think anything is bad. It's more of like, is it effective? What is your goal? And does what you're doing put you closer towards that goal? That is the only thing that matters. Fuck everything else. I would say it's not such a good idea to include a fourth wall break offering a bundle, because if someone read it too late, the offer wouldn't be available anymore. I don't quite understand what's this fourth wall break offering a bundle. Is that just the site itself is offering a bundle for both of the books for like a limited time kind of thing? Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, is it a bundle for both of the books? Like, are you selling them as a deal to sell them together? Like, buy both the books for $15 or buy each book for $10? See, I don't see any problem with that. Fingering my own fingers and it feels good, man. Good times, book. But yeah, I thought you were talking about breaking the fourth wall in your story, offering the bundle. My bad. Yeah, see, I was a little bit confused there, Sean, because I was like, I mean, it's an interesting idea, but yeah, if the bundle was, like, you know, retroactive, you would kind of feel fucked over if you had read the book and it had told you that, and you'd be like, well, I didn't know that. But yeah, I think selling them as a bundle, as an option, is just a good idea. Multi-save is, like, the best way to sell things.
Series that water can be bent from a variety of sources. It doesn't just have to be water flowing in a river, say, but you can bend
Bundles
it
are
from
good.
trees, vines, and even human blood. So it's a logical and satisfying
And fourth wall, like, integrates with Twitch, so I can stream and have a bunch of stuff like podcasts, videos. Main 7 characters, all human, 3 gals, 4 guys. Jake Takahashi, main character. Danny Akiyama, main character. Bob Sato, Ribald Tanaka, Ella Matsuda, Chris Suzuki, and Yuri Matsumoto. Origin from Japan. Nice. Mine is Chinese, says Book Buyer. Could be fun having a fourth wall break in which you have a character spot something that reminds them of one of your other stories. That could be powerful as a selling tool if it was done right and not in every book. That's actually amazing, Sean. Maybe the first book I write, because I'm probably going to write a book before I write the Final Fantasy book, just to get, like, a practice book out there. Have it as, like, a sci-fi thing, and have, like the model, like just this random, like, snow globe maybe type thing, or like a lava lamp. Actually, a lava lamp would be great, because that'd be a promotion for the stream as well as for the book. And have a lava lamp that's the tree, and it's like literally coming out of the lava, and it's like you can see the lava pouring over the edge kind of thing, so it's like orange, and it's got the tree in the center with like a blue HUD, and then it's got like the leaves of like sparkling different colors and stuff like that, and you've got like the droplets going between the trees, like little tubes and stuff like that. Jesus, welcome. I've honestly never seen a fourth wall being done well myself. My fourth wall breaks in the first book, we are on another tangent. Yep, welcome to the stream, guys. Sick, honestly. Should I add race as well, meaning black, white, Latino, etc., just homages to said races, to not just have one race be all human, if that makes sense? Yeah, that makes sense, Rick, but you can do whatever you want with it, right? You can have completely undescribed characters and never quite say, you know, what their skin color is, right? There are a lot of books that have characters where they don't really describe the main character, right? It's more of like the equipment the main character is using or some sort of like distinct thing, right? Okay, another question. So I'm deciding whether I have to discount up front or give discount codes or however it works. I'd give a discount up front, Callie, for a set period of time, like 3 months, and then after that, use promo codes. But use the discount off the bat so it gathers more people. Thanks, Sir Ito. No worries. It's somewhere in here. I missed it. Oh, I was gonna say, that's what it is. The fourth wall break in my book is the main character is going to be talking to himself. But he's going to make it feel... So Beezus, tell me if you think this is a good idea. So, the character will be talking to themselves, because it's in first person from the character's view. So he'll be talking to himself as if having an internal conversation, and it's going to feel like he's talking to the reader. And he's like, he's relaying the information to the reader. And then in the second book, at the beginning, when Gaia is revealed, it's going to be revealed that he was actually talking to Gaia the entire time. So you kind of think that he's talking to you, and then you realize that you're arrogant and he's actually talking to Gaia. Yeah, so that's kind of how I want to do the fourth wall break. So it's like, you think there's a fourth wall break, but there's actually not a fourth wall break. And I'm like, that's the fourth wall break, right? It's like, I love layers of shit like that. I'm so lost back to writing. No worries, Bookfire. Nice displaced perception. Exactly, right? That's kind of like what the whole point of the book is, because it's from Husai's eyes. So it's like the way that, for instance, two people see different events. Or see the same event differently, right? Like, you can go up to two different people, ask them about the same event, and you'll get two completely different stories, right? Like Spider-Man talking to a gargoyle and calling him Bruce. Exactly, Sean. So what did Rick say? Stranger says, follow me into this cage. Someone under Morgana's father's spell will be willing to do whatever people tell them to do, and with people that the person hypnotized will do with either be more assertive and more lustful desire, fulfill anything for them, not just trust them as if they were a stranger. In an instant spell they put on Vivian makes him sort of cling on to them like a binding love. Kind of sounds like almost like confessor magic from Sword of Truth. Never mind, I'm going to eat my feelings. Hell yeah, book, that's how it's done. But anyways, I guess we can go back to
Katara escaped prison by waterbending her body sweat. The viewer could have figured it out just as Katara did. After all, the human body is full of water. But how do you actually design a hard magic system? Firstly, you have to keep in mind its predictability. Typically, the harder your magic system, the more specific you have to be about its rules and consequences. Soft magic can be mysterious and unpredictable, but your hard magic system really does need a level of predictability, or at least an internal consistency. That if our gallant hero with his suave look and 11-inch wand does magical action X, he can expect magical consequence Y. Now this doesn't mean that your hard magic can't have the possibility of disastrous or unpredicted consequences should the magic go horribly wrong, but it does mean that those unpredictable effects will often come from the character's lack of knowledge, mistake, or misuse of the intended magic. Not because the magic is inherently unpredictable. Once again, my baby
like, for instance, if, again, we're going to go back to casting the fire spell, because it's just the easiest way to represent it. You throw out a bunch of fucking, let's say, like, flammable sand, right? It's not quite black powder, but it's like sand that ignites. Knight Sir Ito. Shall take my leave now. Also, yes, rules and consequences of my very intricate and confusing magic. Mistborn is so interesting because of how limited magic really is there. Yeah, exactly, right? Whereas magic can be used by anyone who's intelligent enough to understand. Where is your water button? You mean this? No! I didn't turn the TTS on. Well, I gotta waste more points now. Fuck. Do I have enough points? Oh, I can't even spell right. Jesus.
Do not drink water. Do not leave your seat. Do not move your feet. Do not stretch. Do not go to the bathroom. Have another toke.
True. Is that a good one, Beezus? Does that one work for you? Ugh. Sorry, Rick. I think I had an epiphany, guys. Look. This is why. Because I'm looking at colors. Rick is this color on here, and Beezus is the same color on here. So I see this color, and I think Beezus. That's why I say the wrong person's name. Because I'm looking at the color, I'm not actually looking at the person's name. And with both the chats beside each other, it fucks with my brain having the two different colors. Because I'm trying to, like, basically respond as fast as possible, right? So like I said, I read, like, the first letter and the last letter and infer what the fuck the word is. That's why I fuck up words all the time. Unless it's, like, a super easy word. Yeah. And, like, showing... One of the big things for, like, for instance, I'm just thinking about this, like, having Husai specifically state that, like, illusion magic... Or have the readers understand that illusion magic is real through Husai's influence, and understanding that Husai has tried to crack the code of it, but it's like the one thing that's like it shows you a magic that can exist and does exist, but its understanding is not sufficient enough for people to do it. Because if you knew how light worked, and if you knew okay, actually this might take a bit of an explanation because not a lot of people actually know this. So, we're going to have a science lesson, guys. Let me see if I can find it.
As a 42-year-old...
Okay, here we go. I don't exactly know where it is, but it should be somewhere along here.
Which is about the same place where we had our reflection. And you can also see, right now, if we look at this view, that you cannot see the laser light at all, right? Like, I could see the laser, but I have to bring it down all the way over here. And then I'm able to sort of see the light. But if I just put it up here, you can't see the reflection. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to put this foil, this magic foil, and I'm going to put it over here. Oh, and we can turn off this. And now let's see what happens when I turn on the laser. Wait. No way. No way! It works! It works! Wait, what? Look where the laser is going! Oh my god! It actually works! What? What? This is definitely the coolest demo I've ever done. So what I was doing is I was holding the laser, and I can show you right now, I was shining it down like this, way off, and you could still see it reflect. But if I take this away, it disappears. And if I put this back, it appears.
So that shows really that we cannot get rid of the area which gives zero, that it really is canceling out, and if we do clever things to it, we can demonstrate the reality of the reflections from this part of the mirror.
So light, and by extension everything, really does explore all possible paths. It's just that most of the time, the crazy paths destructively interfere. That's because the actions of nearby paths change rapidly. Now, I've studied physics for most of my life, and I feel like I never really appreciated how important action and the principle of least action are. But now I think I finally get it. And I finally get why if you ask theoretical physicists what they're working on, they'll rarely talk about energy or forces. Most of the time, they'll talk about action.
Nobody in particle physics approaches particle physics from a viewpoint other than least action. But we teach physics historically, and
No
least
homelessness
action
for
is
me.
almost like the new kid on the block.
But the idea of it is that the reason why light always takes the... No, we're not finished the video. The reason why light takes all of the time the shortest path possible to the destination is because it's taking absolutely every path, and the only path that doesn't cancel out is the singular path that is the fastest point, which is a straight line. And if you could manipulate reality understanding that small factor about light, you could use illusion magic. But since no character has that kind of understanding in quantum mechanics, then you can't have that. I was like, what? Itox actually finished a video in under 2 hours? Lies and slander! I could never.
Fullmetal Alchemist demonstrates this perfectly when an attempt to bring someone back from the dead creates a ghoulish monster and destroys Alphonse's entire physical body, not because the magic itself was unpredictable, but because they didn't understand the law of equivalent exchange, the rule that governs all alchemy. While Sanderson didn't say this explicitly, I do feel that the guidelines for designing
I'm feeling mean
magic
today.
systems are
Don't, you're not mean.
encompassed fundamentally in his essay The Second Law of Magic. Limitations are more important than powers.
Yes. Second rule. Limitations are more important than powers. What you cannot do defines what you can do, right? I didn't post a comment. I was going to. So controlled mean. You can say whatever you want. Be as mean as you want. Okay. This is how we are in the stream.
Intoxication is a cum dumpster fuck retard asshole piece of trash. Fuck him and his titties, bitch hoe.
True. Going off my last comment. If only your stamina in other areas was the same. Oh, exactly, book buyer. That's why I'm always in a chastity cage, you know? It's training in progress, okay? Eventually we'll get there.
If you want to read it in more detail, there's a link down in the description below to it. Seems pretty simple, right? That Harry Potter's magic is limited because he can only cast spells when
I like
he
being
has a
mean.
wand. Though later on we do learn that wandless magic is a thing for like level 99 wizards with really
It's a good thing.
Hard magic systems often boil down to three things. Their
Because
limitations,
if you, like, what I find with being mean is if you can, as long as you're not, like, touching on a topic that someone's super sensitive about, to me, it's just banter. Because I like, know you're not being serious, and even if you're, like, slightly being serious, it's still fucking funny. Right? if it's true or it hurts someone, it's funny. If it hurts someone and it's true, it's fucking hilarious. And if it outweighs your expectations, then it's like Grandmaster level funny.
Weaknesses and costs. These are
Limitations. So, limits of knowledge of the world. Weakness is the ability to manifest the idea of that effect in reality in order to reshape its form or purpose. Guys, this actually looks cool. True, like, why would I care what your stamina is in other areas? And who says the other areas aren't trampolining? Book buyer, how do you know that, like, you know, right? Maybe it's how many backflips I can do in a row, right? We all know what it is, but by not saying it, you can say it's other things. 90% of being a wizard in Harry Potter doesn't even involve doing any wizardry. There's no real reason squibs shouldn't be able to live normal wizard lives. I don't know what squibs are. The discounted books, I don't know what the whole site looks like yet, though. Well, it's start small, Callie. Get used to the foundations and then expand your way out from there. And welcome, Levi. How's it going? Squibs are people in the magic world with no magic. Squibs are people born to wizard parents without the ability to cast spells. So they're like a different kind of muggle? Or is muggle just like people that don't know that magic exists, but like Hermione, for instance, can cast magic. She has like good magic genes. Okay. That's interesting. Did not know that. I don't know that much about Harry Potter. Yeah, different kind of muggle. The opposite of a mudblood. Yeah. Interesting.
The rules your magical characters have to obey. What limits are there on their powers? Can your suave hero mind control people, but only as long as they can see them and they're naked? The most common form of limitation is a vaguely defined limit of
in some ways worse
or
in the world.
Training or mental acumen of the practitioner. Avatar: The Last Airbender is kind of like this. There's no explicit limit to how much fire a person can conjure or how strong a wind they can muster, but we know it's kind of limited by their training, willpower, strength, and talent. Think of it as the rule of there's only so much awesome one human can handle. If you're really trying to differentiate your hard magic system from this common trope, then think about not relying.
Finch, the guy with the cat, is a squib? Ah. What about Hagrid? Or does he just not like using magic? I don't remember if he ever uses magic.
Relying on this particular limitation, but maybe something else. Perhaps certain powers can be negated or are affected by certain things in the environment.
We can do magic, like, so not a squib. He is always banned. That's right. He's banned. He uses magic plenty, but he got kicked out for reasons explained in book 2. Yeah.
The moon, certain plants or minerals. That way your magician has to be aware of their surroundings at all times,
can also
or
do
it
one
can be used
magic
against them by their enemies. Secondly, weaknesses. Weaknesses in magic systems can create interesting dynamics in a story where magic would usually make a character a lot more powerful than those around them. Maybe they can transform into a werewolf.
Well, that'd be like the genetic enhancements. So this would be like the genetic enhancements that the monarch has given himself, and the fact that the viceroy had a hand in making Husai. So Husai has an abnormally strong amount of magic. And his brain is just wired in a completely different way to understand the world. Also, did anyone else wonder how a human and a giant had sex and made Hagrid? Like his father was human and his mother was a giant? I mean, even if it was the other way around, they didn't necessarily have to fuck. You just had to get the stuff in there, right? any means necessary.
The wolf at will.
But that would suck. We can't fuck, but hey, you know, it's worth it. The images, my brain burns.
But that makes them vulnerable to silver bullets, though once again, making these limitations to your magic too simple can be...
It's like gorillas, where giants don't have as ideal a ratio as humans do. Like, humans are a pretty well hung mammal. Yeah, I guess that's true. Just because they're a giant doesn't mean they have to have, like, a freaking, like, arm-sized fucking dick, right? Even if they're, like, 16 to 18 feet tall. Right? And it would mainly more be the girth than anything. Something like that?
Resting. Don't just give your super suave hero with fantastic hair and gorgeous eyes a kryptonite factor.
Why did I bring this up?
Them. If you have multiple different powers in your story, it could be interesting to have the use of one power making them
Bad
more
Bucky.
vulnerable to another. So your character has to be cautious about using their powers around someone who could take advantage of that. At its heart, I personally feel that the best magic systems are designed in such a way that it affects the way that the characters think
Yes.
their world operates.
Yes.
Finally and thirdly, perhaps the
Perfect.
most common way that people create rules for their magic system is through magic costing something. Fullmetal Alchemist requires the exact materials to turn X into Y.
Water, 35 liters.
Smokey! Welcome, welcome. How's it going, brother?
4 liters. Lime, 1.5 kilograms. Phosphorus, 800 grams. Salt, 250 grams.
In a lot of series, the magician requires certain materials for their spell or enchantment.
Bone of the father, unwillingly given flesh. The servant
Good morning. True.
willingly sacrificed. Blood of the enemy forcibly taken.
In Harry Potter, this ritual had costs in terms of ingredients as well as the way the ingredients had to be acquired. But perhaps the most common magical cost is that of bodily energy. In the Wheel of Time and the Inheritance cycle, doing something with magic exhausts you, which is fine until you try and be too magically heroic and you overdose on magical heroin and die. Magic causing fatigue is so common because it's an easy way to separate the strong from the weak. A powerful magician doesn't flinch as she vanquishes an army, while a weak
Except
one
it's not so much that more people have more mana. Morning, night. What is time? Time is whatever you want, because my morning is night, because I woke up, well, I mean, I technically just had a nap after work, but, you know, I woke up like an hour and a half ago, technically. I had like a 45-minute nap. So this is morning, and I love night. Night is my time to thrive. It's 1:35 in the morning, and it might as well be 5 a.m. for like an old person. Or like, you know, 7 o'clock at night. I can't nap, either sleep or rest. I'm fucking tired when I get back home from work. I'm just like physically exhausted from standing all day, so I just like lie down to pass out for a bit. It's the only real time I get any good sleep, because other than that, I'm just tossing and turning forever. The scope of the change you are enacting takes from your soul than your body. Ability to maintain spell after soul and body when body starts to decay. Eats single particles at a time. Has Valiant come back since? No, Smokey. Valiant boy has not returned. At least I can say, now that he says he's gone, he's gone. I mean, I feel bad. I mean, if... I just don't fucking understand, man. I don't understand. That was some fucking crash out, man. Not that I didn't tell him. I mean... And I'm like, I got the logs. I told him. I'm like, you can even translate this into French if you don't understand. And it's not like all I did was remove moderator from him and said he can't be a moderator. Some people can't acknowledge their own errors. Yeah, exactly. It was just too much. It's like, it's not even that I just said, okay, sorry, bro, you can't be a moderator anymore. And he just, holy fuck, went the fuck off. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, I guess it's better to happen now than later, right? What is he gonna get me in trouble for? Literally all that happened was he even went I mean he could falsely report me, I'm sure, but I doubt there would be any action taken. When he was chill, he was pretty cool. But when he had a hissy fit, he wouldn't drop it. Or he, like, wanted to show something, like, wanted me to look at something. And it's like, bro, just chill, calm down, I'll get to it. And then I kept telling him, dude, you want to be the main character? Go stream. Go start streaming. And I, like, tried to encourage him to start streaming. Because I think he'd like the attention of it. But, no.
This is from trying to zap a fly. It allows for a lot of wiggle room for the author, because you can make it so that your hero has just enough energy to do impressive magical thing X without much more justification.
Oh, what I was gonna say is, like, everyone has around the same amount of mana, except for Husai, Monarch, and the Viceroy. Exceptions are Title, Awakened. Damn, looks at self and realizes they have a similar problem, pushes down those thoughts and goes about in ignorant bliss. No, man, he had the definition of crash out. I thought he was going to be a hate watcher for a while there, but I don't know if he's lurking around here or anything. I don't know. It's just one of those weird things.
Training montage beforehand. But you've got to be careful about how you use this cost, because it can come across as cheap if your hero is suddenly doing things that they couldn't before, or the exhaustion factor is so inconsistent that it's not really a cost at all. That magical thing X exhausts them just enough when the story requires them to succeed, but...
Could he be Finkdink? No, I think Finkdink's been the ultimate lurker. I have absolutely no idea, because Finkdink was here, and Valiant Boy even, like, in the beginning was, like, trying to talk to Finkdink. I have no idea. He's never talked in chat. Like, if I bring up his thing... Is he in here? I don't know. I'm wondering if he's one of my real-life friends and they just don't say anything. And at this point, it's like, it's just too much of a meme for them to talk. I feel like that's really what it is. They're like the mysterious person in the background, like, and they're like, oh, I can't break this, right? So, who knows? Fuck if I know. I love lurkers. Everyone's pretty much lurking on maybe he's one of the kick guys. Down to
But
25k,
magical
drop a
thing
few more
Y is a
later.
little too much when the story requires them to fail. We've already talked about how hard magic systems require a level of predictability and consistency, and the exhaustion cost can challenge that predictability and suspension of belief if not used wisely. One of my favorite examples of a magical cost is actually from one of the softest fantasy magic systems, in A Song of Ice and Fire. In that, Beric Dondarrion is brought back to life dozens of times using magic, and it changes him. George R. R. Martin described it as such: "My characters who come back from death are worse for wear. In some ways, they're not even the same characters anymore. The body may be moving, but some aspect of their spirit has changed or transformed, and they've lost something." Coming back from the dead costs Beric Dondarrion
Ah, good old Sean, smoking a J. Can only hear you. Sounds good, Smokey. Hell yeah, brother.
something
Light
of
it up.
himself. What precisely we're never told, but
Maybe
it's
my
visible in the
typos
character in his
stole
books.
a win. I can only hope.
Look for unique ways to make your magic cost if you want to distinguish your magic system from others. Maybe manipulating the element of earth causes plants to die around you. The ramifications of these effects could be widespread and fascinating to explore. If this kind of magic was common, would it be outlawed to protect the crops and forests?
Life magic. That is a very like a spell like Doom in Final Fantasy 11. Like any spell that has like a counter like that, it would be under like life magic. That would be so crazy for characters to have that kind of power, where you can just doom someone, and then you have to have like the resistances to it, right? But I want to have like resistances be a huge part of like people's equipment and stuff, and have like the idea of like equipment swapping, and you like swap out your equipment, or like have specific characters that deal with certain things, and that's why you have such a large alliance. It's not necessarily that everyone fights at once, but it's like you have enough people to cover if you have all of your things covered. Why do I find the animation cute? Like I physically like them. For like this guy, like the PNG.
Interestingly, both Avatar and Harry Potter have very little cost.
I am intentionally attempting to lose the points, as I have no use for them. Everyone else is trying to win, and I was frustrated winning 9 times in a row. I gave all my points away on attempt 7. Had 2 more wins before I finally lost.
In terms of their magic, the exhaustion
Giving
that
them
the
to
entire
Eggy.
character's experience seems to be primarily from the physical exercise they get doing what essentially amounts to martial arts. And while we do see that it requires effort at certain points, exhaustion never plays the large cost-like role that we see in The Wheel of Time or the Belgariad, where overusing magic can kill you. Likewise, casting spells in Harry Potter very rarely seems to draw on the strength of the caster. There are vague lines in the books that refer to powerful spells requiring powerful magic, but it really acts as a
kinda
true cost
dreamy.
to the witch or the wizard. The reason for this in both series, I think, is that
And
their
you've
magic
seen what he
systems are
looks like in
restricted
real
heavily by
life, because you've seen the
limitations
other videos
rather
where
than
he's...
cost.
This is one
D&D
7
is
years
limited
old when he
pretty
was a
strictly by
PNG
ability
tuber.
and practice, while magical ability is limited by knowledge and skill, where the limitations in your hard magic system create strong enough rules for your characters for that predictability
I like the
that you
PNG
need.
tuber
It may
more.
not be necessary to have a large cost. Likewise, if the cost of your magic is large, it may not be necessary to have strict limitations. It really just depends on which kind of rules you want your hard magic system to rely on.
Real life
Finally,
is
style.
True.
You need to pick a style for your hard
all
magic
about
system, and
hentai.
this
I mean,
can
what?
be a lot of fun. Typically speaking, hard magic systems need to be more specific about this than soft magic. Maybe you want a theurgical magic system where your characters channel the power of gods, angels, and
I
demons.
saw a gamer
Or
stream the other...
maybe they need special
prefer
magical devices.
yaoi. Nice. Saw a gamer stream the other day. He did an assessment of the Wheel of Time series. Such a good review. He even ranked them. And there's his voice. Holy crap, it was good. Nice.
Like various items of glamorous jewelry, or it requires blood and sacrifice, or maybe they're tapping into the ubiquitous force that permeates everything and everyone conveniently. I often find that writers focus on designing the style of their magic system more than the other parts we talked about before, and while it's a lot of fun to design the aesthetics of it, it's the predictability,
Totally
limitations,
Captivated is my
weaknesses, and
favorite
costs that will
yaoi.
play into the conflicts, problems, and character interactions.
Not gonna
of
look
the
that up on
story
this
most.
PC.
But of course, as I always say, there's no
But I'll do that on the other
and it's
PC.
all up to how you feel feel that you work best. These guidelines will work for some people and they won't work for others. This is going to be a 3-part writing series on magic systems, and next time I want to talk to you about soft magic systems. How to design them and their
well,
place in
obviously, I wouldn't look it up on
world.
stream. I just
Help,
mean,
and
like,
if it did,
I
please
wouldn't
give
even
it a
want to
like
look it
and
up on
leave
this
me a
PC.
comment down below. My question of the day is, what is your magic system like? How would you design one? If you like what I make, please consider supporting me on Patreon for as little as $1.
Hey guys, we made it through the
Get,
first
early
video in an hour. That's not too bad. This one got 3 million views. Hey, we still got one more. Soft magic building. Which we're not as, like, this is more for short stories, or maybe like a different novel. Who is this guy? Hello Future Me is the channel on YouTube. If you want to go give them some love. Wait, you finished a video in less than 3 hours. Call emergency services, the Tox is ill. Guys, it was 11 minutes, okay? 11 minutes. That's... And it's like, it had some pretty good, steady sections, right? Where we didn't have to worry too much, but we did. I know, right? I think he was replaced with an alien. I told you guys I'm AI to begin with. Why do you think I have 12 fingers? Fox is enjoying that probing. True, book. True. Oh, God. You have 12 fingers. Eddie in the mix. Good morning. Welcome, welcome. How's it going, broski? We're on to video 2 of the React. Soft world building on magic. Break out the rectal thermometer. Need an accurate temp. It's definitely 85 in there. Slightly warm. My back door is an exit, no entrance. Mine swings both ways, just like me! Tangents were taken out of bold tonight. I mean, we had some tangents, but yeah, we didn't go too hard with the tangents. We were more on just explaining our magic system and how our magic system holds up. Like, do we have all of these elements in our magic system? And I think, yes, we do have all these elements in our magic system. All right.
Furies. Have you ever read a story where the characters are going about their questy business when they find themselves in a mysterious place steeped in ancient magic, and there are mysterious wizards who do sparkly, mysterious magic things, and the magic is never explained? Well, chances are that you're reading a story with a soft magic system. This is part 2 of 3 of a writing series, and last video we talked about hard magic systems, how to design them, and how they fit into fictional worlds. I recommend watching that to get the full discussion. But to paraphrase, a hard magic system has clearly defined rules, consequences, and limitations that govern what one can or cannot do with magic. Soft magic systems, on the other hand, often have a vague, undefined, or mysterious set of rules and limitations to being used. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings is probably the most famous example of this. Middle-earth is full of magical things, places, and people.
I keep mine soft at all points in time. It's useless. There's no point in that. It can't be used for anything. So, for me, it's perfect.
people, from Agent Elrond to Saruman to your mother-in-law. But we don't really know how magic works, its limits or what it requires. We know Gandalf is a wizard and all, but if you asked him about the specific limitations or costs of his wizardy magic powers, Gandalf gets a little vague. Now, while hard magic systems are largely about how you design magic to work, soft magic is more about how it can be worked into a good narrative, and that's what we'll be talking about today. This can boil down to thinking about three...
All thought boobs are a great squishy toy of all genders. Yup.
things: tension,
True.
point of view, and unpredictability. Brandon Sanderson writes stories with very hard magic, but his 3 laws of magic apply to writing stories anywhere on the spectrum from hard to soft. And Sanderson's first law is still incredibly important to soft magic stories. An author's ability to solve conflict with magic is directly proportional to how well the
Ultra Sax, man. Why is it so satisfying? There's another one too. Yup.
to understand said magic. So firstly, tension. How well you can resolve tension and solve problems is essential to making a good story. This is where having a soft magic system can make things more difficult, because tension is incredibly difficult to build if your reader has no idea of the capabilities of your characters. But that's the thing about soft magic. The reader may not understand much about the limits or costs of it in your story. They don't know when your swashbuckling heroes are faced with a real challenge, whether the wizard can turn around with a wise, bearded look, say, "Fear not, my pathetic mortal friends," and magic them away from danger. Using soft magic the reader cannot predict or doesn't understand to resolve conflict can feel like the author is just screaming, "A wizard did it," throwing a Deus Ex Machina in your face and expecting you to get on with your sorry life. Does this mean that you can never use soft magic to resolve tension? The answer is of course not. Magic systems can be anywhere on the spectrum from hard to soft, and there are plenty of stories that
True,
find a
Sean.
great balance between the two. A common way that this is written is that virtually anything is possible within the soft magic system, but individual characters might only have specific powers. Harry Potter is a relatively good example of this. Throughout the books, very few real limitations can be applied to magic as a whole. There could be a spell to accomplish almost anything a wizard might need. Want to kill someone? There's a spell for that. Want to repel muggles? There's a spell for that. Why drink to forget when you can just erase the memories? And Rowling regularly introduces new spells for things when she needs them, like Expecto Patronum in the 3rd book, when creating spirit animals made of happiness became important to the plot. But Harry Potter himself has limited powers. He can't just make up a
Yes,
spell
I will
on the spot
manifest
to
that.
do whatever he needs.
Breakout
His capabilities
success
are limited to
fantasy.
the spells
Hell
he
yeah.
has learned and trained to use throughout the books. The tension is built up, maintained, and resolved well, because when magic does solve problems in these stories, the reader understood Harry's capabilities, even if those abilities came from a soft magic system. Readers don't feel cheated because even though a wizard did do it, it doesn't feel like a wizard did it. You can have harder parts to a soft magic system without it being restricting for you as a storyteller, maintaining that sense of mystery and possibility as well as having limitations. It's just about striking that balance.
So it's like thinking I'm just thinking about this in the aspect of presentation. So we could present the magic system almost as a soft system, even though it's extremely hard, but it's just the character's understanding of magic in the book is completely different than how magic actually is. And that's kind of like the misinterpretation of, like, how do you say this? Like, Newtonian physics and the idea of, like, Newton's laws and gravity, and then, like, Einstein's theory of relativity. It's like one explains everything, but one is actually truly mathematically proven and covers everything, right? So I'd say, like, Newton's laws are more of a soft system, whereas Einstein's theory of relativity is a hard system. But the characters only know it as a soft system, so you can still have the hard system and present it as a certain way. So I'm just thinking about how I could do that, and then kind of combine them together, that you kind of know what's going on. Holy shit!
Come on, Speedy.
Wow. He's really on their
good.
Holy shit, thank you for subscribing, book buyer. Holy shit, thank you, very much appreciated. Oh my god, Subscribbler gang, let's go! We got more Subscribblers! Woo-woo! Congratulations on gaining your wings! You now have wings! There you go. There are your wings. Congratulations, you are now henchman number 4. Welcome.
Now, while readers may feel
Awesome.
cheated
I get
if
to
soft
be
magic
Death.
is used to miraculously
Nice!
resolve tension, it's virtually never a problem if it causes tension. It's a lot easier to have antagonists with vague or undefined powers than protagonists. This is why we might not understand the powers of the Mind Flayer in Stranger Things, but it still makes for an
I just sit and chat until I get gifted subs, because I can't pay for them myself. I've gotten probably 13 or so gift subs in various streams. Yeah, I get so many gift subs, because I'm in so many different streams all the time.
an interest.
Like, gifted, 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 gifted. 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 So many of them. Limited money, so I'm careful where I spend my money. Well, I'm glad that you chose to spend your money on my stream. I really appreciate it. Don't ever feel that it's necessary. I try to keep the ads are literally at the minimum to not have pre-rolls. If I wish Twitch didn't force ads on until you were partner. It really sucks having ads. Kind of ruins the vibe. And I don't have a bot for them to set up because I just honestly haven't had time in the last like 3 months. But it says it's set up, it just doesn't work. I fucking don't know why. But it doesn't even tell it on my end when I have ads.
Villain, while we do understand Eleven's powers to an extent, because her powers are used to solve problems in the narrative. It's just important to remember to be consistent with that villain's powers later on. Likewise, it's perfectly okay to
I have an
create
erasure
challenges
pen.
that the
I love
characters
it.
must solve
Erasable
with
pen. I love
unexplained
it. That's
magic.
amazing.
So feel free to be the all-powerful, maniacal overlord you are and wreak havoc on the lives of your characters and make them sorry that they were ever born. Secondly, we need to talk about how...
Oh, and the fact that people don't know in the book that magic didn't exist before. People think that magic has always been a thing. And the Beastmen know that magic hasn't always been a thing, because they could never do magic before the moon fell out of the sky. But they learned how to do magic from the dragons before they came back down to the planet, after the moon had shattered and the crystalline tree started to grow.
How soft magic fits in with your point of view characters. Whether you want to tell your story from the viewpoint of a magical or a non-magical character may change how you write. While this is in no way a rule, stories with softer magic tend to not be written from the perspective of magic users. For example, the Black Company has a very soft magic...
Oh, YouTuber! Sucky Sucky! Hi from Sean's wifey! Oh, nice! Welcome, welcome. I love the name. I don't know if it's supposed to be Sucky Sucky or Suki Suki, but, Sean's wife. Ooh, yeah, man. We got more peeps in the chat now. Good to see somebody talking on YouTube. So, like Duke. Sook. Like Duke. Suki. I'm here. Everyone's here, guys. We got the whole gang together.
Magic system, and there are
Hell
even
yeah.
main characters who use it regularly.
Hi,
but
Callie.
it's
Sean's
told
wife
from
is
the
in the chat on
perspective of
YouTube.
Hope, a non-magical character. There are a number of reasons an author might want to
Hi.
do this. One, if magic exists outside the point of view, you can align the reader with the main character, who may view magic as this mystical and unknown force in the world. That may be something that you want your
And that's kind of how the Viceroy is. Some more estrogen in the chat. Woo woo, let's go, girls, let's go. Woo woo, bring it on. That's what it's all about.
reader to experience. Sanderson writes in his essay, The First Law of Magic, that soft magic preserves the sense of wonder in their books, to give the setting a fantastical feel. Soft magic books tend to want to indicate that men are a small part of the eternal
Can't be
mystical
capitalized.
workings of the universe. And that sense of the mysterious unknown can be harder to achieve if writing from the perspective
Oh, I think
of
you just have to
someone
do
who wants to
EMBF.
understand something of your magic. My favorite example of this is The Hobbit, because Tolkien tells his story through the eyes of Bilbo, a hobbit and handkerchief enthusiast. He adds to the tension in the story by using Bilbo's perspective. It reinforces that sense of the unknown in Mirkwood Forest, because Bilbo cannot possibly predict what enchantments, spells, or kind of racist elf kings he might face in there.
It doesn't
would be
work.
far more difficult for Tolkien to create that mysterious
'Cause
tension
it's,
if the story was told by Gandalf, who would know a lot more about what to
It's
expect. Let's say you want
derogatory.
to write your soft magic story from the perspective
Hello,
of a witch or a
Suki.
wizard. How would you do that?
Everyone
there are
said
an infinite number
hello.
of ways that you can do this.
We are all
without
friends
breaking
now.
Sanderson's first law.
Remember, everyone, all you need to be friends is be able to say fuck you. So fuck you. Welcome, everyone.
But we are only going to talk about two that are particularly common and add really interesting dynamics to a story. One way is to write characters who have magic but do not control it directly. That only your eponymous hero can wield the ancient magical sword of plot convenience that also happens to indicate he should be king for some reason.
Strange women lying in ponds, distributing swords is no basis for a system of government.
This trope can be seen all over the place, in King Arthur or Rincewind in The Light Fantastic, but Daenerys
Fuck you too. Love y'all. True book. That's the spirit. That's what we love here.
Targaryen is an excellent example of this. In A Song of Ice and Fire, Daenerys has this thing called Valyrian magic, which we know has a lot to do with fire
150!
and blood,
We're doing
but
good today.
not much more than that. It's Valyrian magic that allows Dany to bond with dragons and survive standing in a funeral pyre at the end of the first book. But George R. R. Martin said Targaryens are not immune to fire. This was about the birth of Dany's dragons, which was unique, magical, wondrous,
Times
a
90%
miracle.
seems
In
about
other
right.
words, it was an example of very soft magic. But while Dany is magical, it's not an ability that she controls. It doesn't break Sanderson's first law because it is used to make her story more interesting without resolving the conflicts in her story.
Not the most productive
Giving characters
day.
very little
It's
control
okay.
over their magic allows you to keep the tension in the narrative, because the reader still feels it's the character's intelligence, ingenuity, and skill that are letting them solve problems.
True.
It's not the hero's magical ability to wield the sword that no one else can that allows them to defeat your totally not generic Dark Lord. It's that your hero worked and learned how to wield the sword. Fundamentally, soft magic can facilitate the resolution of your conflict, but not resolve it in and of itself. That comes across as, a wizard did it!
Yep.
A second way to write from the viewpoint of a soft magic character is with an element of unpredictability. While hard magic relies heavily on it being predictable and consistent, soft magic is allowed to be a lot more unpredictable, having not just the reader but the characters themselves be unsure of the limits or capabilities of their magic can be really
Now I don't like the PNG guy. He's stealing all your time now. Makes sense. I could feel it.
interesting, and it retains that feeling of mysticism without you needing to explain how it works precisely. The character Melisandre in A Song of Ice and Fire is a fantastic example of this. She is one of the few viewpoint characters who actively try to use magic to accomplish things, but not only does the reader not fully
I'm breaking up with him. It has been a sweet 30, man. I mean, it happens, right? You can't win them all.
understand the limits or rules of her powers, but neither does she entirely. For example, in the second book, she performs a huge sacrificial ritual for Stannis Baratheon, believing it would transform him into the savior of the world and English grammar. but it didn't. Sometimes she can call on the Lord of Light for guidance, and other times it just doesn't work. While she is powerful, the rules of her magic aren't as clear as magical action X equals magical effect Y, but it's important to not use that unpredictability to solve problems too often. It comes across as weak writing if it works.
I still have Jinsuga, Jimin, V, RM, and Jungkook. J-Hope is a friend. Ah, I see.
Too regularly because suddenly it doesn't feel unpredictable. It reads as if the author is just using magic to make the character succeed or fail whenever is most convenient for them. But the focus of unpredictable magic should not be on its ability
Those are
to solve
BTS
problems.
members.
Rather,
I
its
figured.
role in the story should center around guess what? Its unpredictability and how that can enrich your narrative. Soft magic can add fantastical elements to a story in a way that is difficult to do with hard magic, and authors who do that well truly enhance their writing. For example, in many scenarios where characters do use unpredictable magic, it can often go horribly wrong
Did I
and
hear
create
testicles?
more problems for the characters. In the Deathgate
True,
cycle, the more
yes.
powerful the magic, the more
In
drastic
my
the
mouth.
unpredictable
What?
side effects will be. When one character performs necromancy, another random person will die. It can be fascinating to have viewpoint characters using this kind of magic in ways that truly affect the course of the story, but
Like
not just in
dumplings.
positive ways.
I'm the
but
grave
negative
robber
and
by
neutral
6
ways
days.
as well. One of my favorite variations of unpredictable magic is from the Discworld series by Terry Pratchett, which, if you haven't read, is the perfect balance between fantasy, comedy, and dreadful existentialism. In his books, magic has something of a personality. It isn't easy to control and can simply decide to do things on its own. If you really want to set your soft magic system apart, consider how its unpredictability could play into your story. Thinking about how hard it is to control, perhaps giving it some form of sentience that makes it not just a tool that could be used, but something to be incredibly wary of for your characters. And this is a major difference between hard and soft magic, where hard magic will go wrong because the
Why is my ex looking so smug? Stupid face. True, book. You know. Sometimes you just can't win. They don't know what they're talking about, though. We'll figure it out,
didn't
right?
understand the rules or limits of magic.
Strong
Soft
together.
magic is more likely to go wrong simply because of its nature. Unpredictable magic can actually increase tension with a sense
Too
of
bad I
risk
can't
to
throw
using
poop at
it,
'em.
and is less likely to feel like a wizard did it. If the reader never loses that feeling of unpredictability or risk of disaster. What's difficult for authors is working to maintain that feeling. Of course, none of this means that your soft magic has to be unpredictable. This is just one way to make soft magic interesting, especially if you're writing from
I see, said the blind man to the deaf dog. He is, as he pisses into the wind. It's all coming back to me now. True, Suki.
viewpoint of magic users. Thirdly, you have to ask, how many magic systems do you want? Oftentimes, fantasy stories only have one magic system, like the Inheritance Cycle, the Belgariad, or Star Wars, but it is possible to include more than one magic system in your story if you like. In the Kingkiller Chronicles, there is Sympathy, which is a much harder magic system, but there's also things like naming magic or fey magic that are far softer. In A Song of Ice and Fire, there's an all-you-can magic buffet with the Faceless Men, the Old Gods, the Lord of Light, the Others, the Children of the Forest, and Valerian magic. Few of them have much or anything to do with one another, and they are a mix of harder and softer magic systems. You can write a story with both, and which style is best is simply up to what fits for your narrative. Though if you really want to distinguish your novel, you might want to use multiple magic systems. It's not particularly common, and I often feel that it's a missed opportunity that hasn't been adequately explored in fantasy. Having
True.
multiple can add to the mysteriousness of your world, while having one may help establish that sense of predictability and
Now I heard Wattpad. What? I having a stroke. Not sure. Book buyer. Many words can be many things to some people.
consistency required for hard magic. And fourthly, style. Soft magic systems have an advantage of being extremely versatile.
First
and flexible.
testicles and now
Authors are free
Wattpad.
to include ritualistic magic, spell magic, theurgical magic that calls on demons and angels, or ley lines that create wells of magical energy. They can use all of that without it feeling out of place. Hard magic systems, on the other hand, typically rely on one or a few styles at most. They need to be restricted for there to be clear rules. At its heart,
Now we need Harry Potter in the galaxy far, far away. Who would win, Harry or Palpatine? If Palpatine fought from the shadows, Harry, he already is dead. I mean, if it was... Now he is undead. Isn't Palpatine technically
I
too?
think harder magic is about how well an author designs the limitations, costs, and weaknesses, and how this can be cleverly used to solve problems in your story. While soft magic is not so much about solving problems, but adding to the narrative by opening up its possibilities and world-building opportunities. This was part 2 of a 3-part series analyzing magic systems, and you voted for it, so the third part I want to examine a particular magic system in detail. Avatar: The Last Airbender. How it's developed, how it fits in with Sanderson's third law of magic in particular, and where it works or doesn't work within the narrative. Question of the day, which do you prefer and why? Hard or soft?
I only know
And
HP, not SW. I know Star Wars, but I don't know Harry Potter. 2 videos in under 2 hours. Yeah, because I didn't really have any insight on this one. This was more of like, because I haven't written any short stories in the fantasy genre, because I'm saving that for the book, right? So it's like, soft magic system isn't really something that I have any insight on. So it was more of just an educational watch. So it was much quicker than the other ones. That's what I mean by the difference between like the on writings, and certain topics go faster than other things, right? But